Once upon a time, a historian discovered a long forgotten pyramid. The pyramid had a different building style compared to the other more famous pyramids. It did not have smooth triangular surfaces from bottom to top. It was a stepped pyramid. After some research, the historian concluded that this was a step pyramid of Pharaoh Djoser, a 1400-year-old structure. This historian had a keen interest in ancient Egyptian monuments and buildings. He had already discovered, identified, and sometimes restored old Egyptian architecture. He is also known as the first Egyptologist. This man was Khemueset, the Prince of Egypt, the son of Pharaoh Ramses II. When Khemueset was practicing archaeology, he was discovering ancient civilizations and uncovering history in his modern time. Now, the age of Djoser's step pyramid is around 4,500 years, and its discovery by archaeologist Khemueset was done more than 3,000 years ago. Khemueset himself became more ancient to us than his discoveries were to him. One of the first archaeologists himself has become a point of interest to modern archaeologists in our time. Sooner or later, our time will also be gone, like the time of Khemoeset has gone. We no longer consider Khemoeset as one of us. He is somebody from a very distant past, and one day we will be the people from a lost time. What will future historians know about us and think about us? Why did Stone Age people made everything with stones when they could work with wood, bones, or stuff that was easier to work with than stones? Who said they didn't? But wood and bone tools have long gone, decayed, biodegraded, while the stone tools remained. We only found the stone tools because the stone was the hardest material they used. We found the items that lasted over the millennia. Possibly, they are more widely used items, more favorite tools, and utensils that they used on a daily basis were all lost. Now, we only found a few stone tools and concluded them to be stone dweller barbarians. Who knows how much of their life we have missed, how much of their life we shall never know. What will the future archaeologists find from our time after thousands of years? Some ruins of our monuments and skyscrapers and industries should last. The steel, aluminium, and plastics, our signature of pollution, will be recognizable for thousands of years to the future scientists. Some of our space monuments, the satellites around the Earth, should also remain. Satellites in low Earth orbit will burn due to atmospheric drag, but geostationary satellites far above should remain in orbit for millions of years. Dead, silent, but there, orbiting the planet Earth. But will these artifacts tell our story? Will the future historians learn what we thought, what we dreamed, and what we felt? We often do not even consider that the ancient people may have also passed through an equally eventful life, full of happiness, sorrow, dreams, hopes, and heartbreaks, lives full of stories. To us, they are just shadows from the distant past. The royals from their time may have some name to us, but regular people from history are nobodies. But that will not happen to us, right? We have published books, We have recorded musics and have a vast presence in the internet. All of our stories are present everywhere with great details in thousands of servers all around the globe. Not all of this will be lost, right? In 1920, a 4,000 years old, long lost city was discovered in the Indus Valley, Mohenjo-daro. It was a large city which prospered for around 800 years and had a population of 40,000 people. In the ruins, some scripts were also discovered, written text from the people of the lost city. Until now, nobody could decipher these texts. Nobody could read what was written in these artifacts. In fact, we do not even know what the original name of the city was. Mohenjo-daro was a given name in the 20th century. What did the citizens call their favorite city, the busy metropolitan 4,000 years ago? We have no idea. Books and texts get lost with time. But there is another risk. The original language may get lost too. And when the language is lost, books have no meaning. Digital records have some additional vulnerabilities. If you find some floppy disk in an old drawer someday, how would you read them? I had to throw away some DVDs recently because I no longer have any means to play DVDs. All digital files have their formats, and when the format is lost, the whole record might become useless. The vast amount of digital records is also encrypted. Given a random dataset from the internet, the most intelligent people of our time will have a hard time making any sense of the data stream. It will be an enormous task for the future historian with little knowledge of our time to decipher all the digital junk from our internet, even if the data centers survive. This year is different from last year. The last year was different from the year before. But going back a few years, the differences are not so obvious. But the decades are definitely different. The 90s are different from the 80s. The 80s were different from the 70s. The 70s were. The line gets blurred after a few decades too. What about centuries? This century is definitely different from the 1900s. The 1900s were different from the 1800s. But going back a few centuries, we struggle to find obvious differences between centuries too. I am not talking about the major historic events, but the regular lives of regular people. Going back a few thousand years, boundaries between millenniums get blurred. To Khem-Weset, Pharaoh Djoser was a long lost history. But to us, Khem-Weset and his father Ramses II are almost as ancient as Djoser. We pass every day as special, but given enough time, days, months, years, decades, centuries, and even millenniums become a short paragraph in history. I met a traveler from an antique land who said two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor oiled those passions red which yet survive. Stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay. Of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.